What's up, YouTube? So in this video, I'm going to be talking about Andrew Thomas, tackle out of Georgia. Um, Now, unfortunately, I'm just not going to have time to do film breakdowns on everybody. The draft is coming up pretty quickly, and I've got a lot of players I got to get through. So most of them are probably going to end up being videos like this, where I'm just giving my opinion. Now, I have watched the film on him, but I'm just not going to always have time to find the plays I want to show you guys and make the timestamp, stuff like that. I'm just not going to have time for all that. A lot of time actually goes into those videos. So most of my videos are going to end up being like this, unfortunately, but it is what it is. So getting into Andrew Thomas, the first thing that just comes right off the screen is his run blocking. It's absolutely fantastic. Um, when he's run blocking, his base is really good. He sinks his hips down and really delivers blows. He's really powerful. He moves people out of the way. He doesn't just stalemate with people. He actually moves them. Um, and he does this thing where he kind of like leans on his opponent, basically. He'll put his hands on him, and then he'll just shift all of his weight onto him, and then just bring him to the ground. He's pretty good at it, and he doesn't like overextend himself when he does it. So you're not just going to be able to pull some cloth or do a swim move and just put him on his face when he's doing it, because he's pretty careful with it. That was the first thing I was kind of worried about when I first seen him do it, but he's got good timing with it, so I don't see that happening too much, and he doesn't always do it either. I don't want to see him doing that in the pass game, though, and he doesn't, but I don't like leaning in the pass game at all. But the things that you really have to talk about with Andrew Thomas are with his pass blocking, and it's not that he's bad at pass blocking. He's not. He's a solid pass blocker as well, but there are some issues that I do have with him that I think he needs to correct at the next level, but I think he can correct them if he gets a good offensive line coach. Because most of it, I think, is bad coaching on George's part. Um, and most of it has to do with his hands. Like, if you've watched this channel for a while, then you would know that I'm a big proponent of getting your hands inside, like keeping your elbows tucked, ready to go, and then getting your hands inside your opponent's chest. But he likes to get his hands out wide, and I can't stand it because, and the reason I don't like it, it's not just because of power, because when you get your hands inside, that's where you're powerful, that's where you have the most control. But also, if you have your hands outside, if you've got a good defensive end that you're working against, and they can defeat those hands because they're not tucked, and they can get to your quarterback pretty easily because of that. Now, he gets away with it in college because the rushers aren't always that consistently good, but in the NFL, you're not going to have that luxury. But that's something I do think is kind of Georgia's fault, because I think they taught him that way, and the reason I think that is because I kept looking over at the other offensive linemen, mostly the right tackle, and he does the same thing. They all do that. None of them really get their hands inside. So it looks like that's what they're being coached to do, and I can't stand it. This is why there's not that many good offensive linemen in the league, because coaches in college are teaching people really bad habits. Ohio State is another college that does this. But one thing I will say, there are plays where he does get his hands inside, and those are some of his best plays in the pass game. Usually it happens when someone's crossing his face, they're doing a stunt, stuff like that, where he ends up getting surprised, and his hands just react. Then he gets his hands inside, and those are some of the best plays that I've seen him do. And I honestly just want to see him do more of that, because when he does get his hands inside, then you see a lot of the skills that he displays in the run game. He sinks his butt down. He gets his knees at the right level. His knee bend is also very, very, very good, especially for a man his size. And that's where he gets his power. And one thing I will say, when he does get his hands inside, people don't really move on him. So that means that he is capable of doing it. He just needs to be coached to do it on a more consistent basis. That's all. And one thing I will say too, when he does get beat, he does recover well. He has the feet to be able to recover quickly, which is that's a good feature to have, because no matter how good you are, you're gonna get beat occasionally. So it is good that he can recover pretty decently. The last thing I kind of want to talk on is his patience, especially in gap exchanges. I mentioned stunts before. He can sometimes get a little bit trigger happy during stunts, and he kind of overexposes himself sometimes. Before he lets the play develop, sometimes he'll commit to somebody, and that kind of ends up letting another rusher cross his face. And like I said, he recovers well, so it usually ends up being fine. But in the NFL, you're gonna come up against really explosive athletes pretty much every game. So you really got to be careful with stuff like that. But again, that's a coaching thing that I think can be ironed out of him. I think if he improves that in his hands, I think he's going to be a very good tackle. He's already really good. Definitely first rounder, probably early first rounder. But yeah, I do like Andrew Thomas a lot. None of the problems I have would stop me from drafting him, because like I said, I think if you have a good offensive line coach, you can fix the few problems that he does have. So, yeah, anyway, I think that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, I appreciate you hitting that like button. If you have any questions or comments, leave it in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.